So Morgan is a little bit of a different Arkhite player. After talking to her later and getting some info, her whole game strategy is to minimize as much as possible putting cards back to get that compression. Really only put the cards back in the deck when you are in your push turns, when you're in Persona right turns, when you need a little bit more numbers. You're going to get that 10k from Arkhite when you use her ability and get something from the top 7. So you got your good beater. You don't have to. You could, but you don't have to make a whole board. You don't have to put like 4 units back to the bottom of the deck. Why? You got good units. If you Persona right, they're good numbers. And then when I go into my Arkhite and call anything that's in my order zone, that's a really good number. And I have all this compression. Like the last game when these two played, we saw Morgan activate all 4 of those orders, all 4 researches, and only whiff 1, which means 7 cards out of deck, gone.
Makes sense. All right. Well, let's jump straight into it.
Yeah, enough hypothesis. Let's see this in action.
So here we are, the semi-finals.
A big part about this game is the fact that these two players have already faced each other. So not only do they know the opponent's deck and what it's capable of and some ratios and cards, they also know a little bit of the opponent's play style, which puts a big factor into this game.
Absolutely, especially something like, for example, the fact that Cheyenne's deck has no copies of Gust and only plays Tempest and Zest. That's definitely something that Morgan is like now aware of and will definitely be thinking about.
Especially like going into Persona right turns, whether or not you want to guard against the first Youthberk attack or take it, you're going to be more prone to guard it now because, of course, if you guard the first one, you have to end up taking the Zest attacks.
Yep.
You'll be more likely to be okay with taking the Zest attack.
Exactly.
After thinking more about it, I'm more scared of Zest than Gust. Gust, sure. Twin Drive, good. You can whiff, you can get no triggers.
Yes.
Zest is a guaranteed double critical if you
Yes.
Persona ride.
Yep.
That scares me more sometimes.
With a potential 1 drive on it, too. That's kind of creepy to think about.
Like the amount of times I'm facing a Youthberk player and I actually take the Vanguard because of, you know, RNG, this and that. It's like, it just makes more sense. Let happen whatever's going to happen. I don't want to do that with Zest. He's already double crit. Please no.
The rush coming in from Morgan on turn 1.
I love this.
Deja vu.
I love this early aggression from Morgan here, being able to take the initiative, not giving Youthberk time to establish. Only alternative that you can really deal with Youthberk very early is do not let up on them at all.
No. If you start the gas, you got to keep on the gas. What's that quote? Don't let your foot off the tiger's neck.
I don't think I've heard that one before.
I've
but I'll
never
take
heard
your
that
word
one
for it.
before.
I think it's from a Marvel movie.
If you say so, buddy. The thing I will mention, especially about rushing Youthberk, is that Youthberk has a really hard time rushing you back because they have to keep so many of their cards for their combo turns. And if Cheyenne commits a board like he's doing now, it gives Morgan the chance to then be like, okay, I put you to like 2 or 3 damage in the early game. I'm now going to start swinging at your board and give you the inability to extend any further. Like, you can't spam Schneisel, you can't spam Kyabra. You now have to like play with what you have instead of reaching for resources. And I think that that really changes the dynamic of the game. Like going from the sort of I'm going to grind out the game like Youthberk does into like, well, now we're both like running along fast is really tough to catch up with.
So unlike their previous match, Morgan didn't hit the overtrigger on the first damage, but still hit a defensive, which matters a lot because, okay, the rush that was going to come to Vanguard now left me at 1 damage and draw me a card.
And I think one of the coolest things that I do like Arkhite as well, outside of like the potentials of hitting your defensive triggers and stuff, is like your discard sometimes is just so good. Right? You just discard a monster, man.
There's no bad discard. There is no bad discard in Arkhite.
Outside of discarding a trigger, obviously, but
well, the obvious. Like, let's talk normal. Let's talk actual targets.
So in this situation here, where Cheyenne has tried to rush right back, if you're in Morgan's shoes, if you're like looking at the cards in her hand and the cards she has access to, would you rush? Would you rush back, or would you start taking out his board?
Did we just whiff?
We did.
Whiffed. Yeah. Oh. Now to answer your question fully now, because of that situation, I think we're poking some rear guards here today.
To just build up that order zone. Yeah, makes sense.
So Blast 2, draw a card. Since there's 2 more orders in there, we drew into the perfect guard, which is pretty good here. We're going to use the order effects to put 2 monsters, or at least 1, off of the monster effect.
So the grade 2 in the front row right now is one of my favorite cards in Arkhite because you never feel bad about putting it down in the grade 2 game.
Yeah.
It gets your monster into order zone. It is a decent attacker because you're rushing. It's 10k. It doesn't gain any power on that. But the fact of the matter is, because if you do everything right, It's a 10k interceptor, and you don't feel bad about it going to drop. You actually wanted to drop, so you can rest your order and put it in order zone and start doing the nice little cycle mechanic.
Oh wow. Okay. Morgan actually changed
Going
the
for the
script
rush
here
here.
and just going straight face.
I do find it interesting that she's letting the Vreed stay on the board. I don't think Arkhite has any removal, does it?
Nope.
Arkhite does.
Yes,
Yeah,
one. The grade 3.
The grade
Right,
3.
okay. See, I think like, because in this situation where, you know, you say that, okay, Youthberk wants to grind the game, wants it to go long,
Yeah.
then Vreed becomes one of the best cards in the deck. And so you almost become incentivized to get rid of the Vreed ASAP, right?
Yeah, because if they did this turn, you would limit their counterblast being able to be used by the Youthberg Youth, the grade 2.
Right, yeah.
And then you couldn't use Tempest. You would have to either just use Tempest for the 5k bonus instead of anything else. So I found it's like super interesting that they didn't like choose to attack the rears here.
Yeah, and does Cheyenne play the Angel that when you Revel Dress Soul Blast 1 countercharge?
Yes, they play Inoculate, yeah.
Okay, so even if Morgan had gone for that line of play, he still would have had options. It wouldn't have been a full
Completely,
disaster,
yeah.
but yeah. Here we go, Double Tempest, hits a grade 2. It's definitely something.
Oh, actually, I'm a liar. I'm completely a liar. They do not
He
play
does
it.
not.
Does not
Okay.
play it at all. No.
So then Morgan going for the damage knight would have been even stronger.
Yes. By
Okay
far.
then. Heal does not go off.
It's like you said before. Once you start the gas, you got to keep it on.
Yeah, you gotta
I think that's
keep
totally
it.
fair, yeah.
I guess so, but
These defenses from Morgan definitely help her out a lot.
yeah. Let's see.
One
I'm kind
pass,
of
he hits it.
peeking into that hand. I see a research, so we.
Oh! Seize your activities, opponent. Stop. Oh, did you
Starting with OT, she needed that. He was plus 20k from the defensive, right? How big was the read column? It was
I think the read column was
Oh,
40 or so.
If a trigger went there from Tempest, 40?
Yeah, I think maximum 40.
okay. Interesting.
Yeah, just about 40k or so. So
Right,
that's
okay.
interesting. So we do have a perfect guard being added here. No, it's going to be the grade 3. So we'll be able to hopefully curve out a little bit of this board, get rid of the Frida, probably get rid of the Nigel or the Wayfaring Angel. There's a lot of viable targets here.
I think the best target to get rid of if you're going to pop anything would be the 10k interceptor because it's the highest shield value.
Yep.
Sure, the Angel is a 10k booster, but I don't know. It's kind of hard to say.
There it is.
That's going to get culled right now. You can look at their drop zone for any similar monsters that it can use and put into the order zone. I would suspect I would probably target a Bulma Mine here, maybe to get that back into the deck for maybe later.
There is already a Bowman in order zone.
Oh, there is one already.
Yeah,
Okay,
order
then-
zone's kind of to the side off
yeah,
view.
I
So with the way we watched Morgan play last time she was on stream, she just activates all of them because she can.
Yeah,
And puts
yeah.
anything and everything, even if it isn't target or not. We saw her put in the ride line, even though, you know, she doesn't have multiple copies.
I mean, it's just a habit, right? You do it because then if you draw into the pieces,
Yes.
they automatically proc, and then you could just use them again or use monsters you already used before, sort of thing. So I like this change.
It becomes a habit to always activate them so that you never forget them.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we saw this on stream once, and a lot of Euro players can actually tell you, you need to mentally train yourself to play the grade 1 order on your turn 1. Because sometimes you just forget. It just slips your mind like, I'm going to search this. Yeah, add to the hand. Oh, yeah, I need to actually play it.
They're not going to choose any of the other monster targets.
I think
Part
the
of
only other
right
targets
line.
I saw there were Wavy Loss and Bobelmean. And going for Bobelmean is an attack that either doesn't hit or like just boosts for no real relevant effect. And here, like you said, even though there is opportunity to damage an eye. Oh, she actually
Like now?
Yeah.
there you go.
I love this. Thank you, Morgan.
Because my original comment was that you can expect that if Cheyenne hadn't PG'd, he was probably going to take the Arkhite swing for some damage, at which point you're not going to be able to damage an eye him, at which point the Bobelmean boosting the grade 3 makes a bit of sense to get yourself also undamaged and eyeable.
Yeah.
But then having that many attacks is still dangerous. Like putting Youthberk from 2 to 4 means that you're opening yourself up to get like double schneisel or something.
Yeah, but now we come to the scary part I was mentioning before. No CB, and there is a Zest in hand. And this is a Persona right turn.
Yep.
But even without getting any drive checks here, this is a, hey, you got to guard all this. I don't need to think about any of this right now. I'm still attacking with relevant numbers.
Ooh, no guarding this one. OT is problematic. Heal is very good, though.
Okay.
I think the fact that there's no Sequana in rotation means that you can afford to now no-guard the Zest as well. And then hopefully just hit another defensive and just PG the over-triggered Schneisel. I think she's definitely not in a bad way here.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, because the overtrigger only gives your rearguards the ability to perform drive checks.
Yeah, it doesn't give the any or all you.
So this is like a what, 30, 45?
20,
One
30. No, it's only 30.
It's only 30. Okay, then.
I like what Cheyenne is doing here. So they're attacking with this column, so in case they get any triggers or critical trigger or something like that, they can give that to the Youthberk middle column and force them to deal with this threat now.
Right, I see, yeah.
Yeah, my Zest has twin drive technically still.
Yeah. This is absolutely scary. I wonder if they're going to attack with a Schneisel here.
One pass.
On the critical.
That's not good either.
No.
Another trigger comes in, but I don't think that helps. It puts her up to 33. So yeah, she has to PG this, and then
If it gets a drive trick, if it gets a trigger, like that's another crit.
there you go. Okay,
To
so that is
Zest.
now what? 23,
35.
33, 43. Nope, she has another PG. We're all
Okay.
good.
Oh, thought we would probably
Ditching-
see an anime moment there if she was going to fall.
But she had to ditch the research. She had to ditch her last copy of the grade 1 research.
Now here's the problem. Like, Morgan has suddenly fallen way behind in damage. She's now going to be pressured to either finish the game here or find a way to recuperate. And I don't think Arkhite can do either of those things in this position.
No, not right now. It requires at least like 2, 3, or 4 more cards sometimes to get to the pieces that you'll need. Some of the monsters that can draw, maybe the assistant, so you can Soul Blast and draw some more cards, stuff like that. You require so much moving parts sometimes to get started.
Morgan's currently in the position of go big or go home.
Yes.
The game state, hand sizes, soul, damages, deck thinning, Youthberk, all that. There's not a next turn. It's all or nothing on this turn.
Yeah. So
It's basically hit OT.
That we
OT
guarded with.
Guarded with earlier.
Ah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not even an option either.
No.
Yikes.
So I mean, there's still 2 more heals left, right? There's also what else? There's also some crits still left. So hitting a double crit puts them in a situation that they have to guard this. There's a draw here off of the aiding monster.
Yeah, but Wavy Loss is only 23, right? 33 if she uses the effect. That's not exactly that hard to guard, given
No.
how
Definitely not, no.
there's still a read in play as well.
And one of the copies of Wavy Loss here. It's going to go back to deck. Draw a card. So blasting 2. Perfect guarding here. They don't want to lose to any form of shenanigans.
It's a lot
Rev
of
check.
sense.
Second check.
Ooh.
Wavy Loss and the grade 3 monster here.
So now you swing rears.
Yes. You put yourself on 6 damage heal and you try to swing back again.
Yep.
You're thinking of how to deal with this, whether or not they go face or not. You do not
Just
go
basically
face.
telling Cheyenne, like, you can't plus, you can't do anything. All you can do is just vanilla Revel forms. Of course,
Yeah.
now here's where the thing about Cheyenne's deck really shines. When you're being damage denied, vanilla Zest is regular Zest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Contemplating it. They're thinking, how much do I care about you going to 3?
Although looking at Cheyenne's hand, I don't know if he has Persona Ride.
If he doesn't,
Then Zest turns off.
Going
Okay.
straight for the Vanguard.
going for
Not
Vita,
again,
it looks like.
Like, trying to damage deny youth and trying to deck him out is technically an option, but it takes way too long once Youthberk realizes what's going on, because they don't have to overextend. They don't have to go into Tempest anymore. They don't have to overdraw. It just becomes a grind game, and Arkhite can't survive that grind game one bit. Does not have enough plussing. Only has honestly just Twin Drive.
Finds the Sequana, doesn't have Persona Ride, so we'll see if Cheyenne has... I think Cheyenne does have a Tempest in hand, though. This
At
is...
least get to draw 2 cards here off of the drive check.
Yeah, it's not looking good for Morgan. I think her only... She's gone through most of her heals as well. Like, she damaged 2 or 3 of them. I don't know if she has the 4th or used it earlier, but...
counting out the numbers here, there's no Persona Ride. So one is 20, the other one is 20 as well. Vanguard column is 23.
One pass. Oh, there's the Zest. But Zest again is turned off.
Going into
It's
Zest.
going into it, okay.
I mean, it might be turned off, but it's still a 28k with a drive check.
Yep. And again, I can't tell if Morgan's lost her 4th heal yet or not.
We've seen so many heals. We've seen the over trigger. Like, if it's in there, it's in there. It needs to be on top right now.
And
It is not.
that's
There you go. Cheyenne takes it. In the revenge match, he does get the run back. There you go. That was quite a game. Like,
wow. So if we could give a second to talk about it, I'm very shocked here that it's gonna be one of those type of situations that we have in Vanguard where you are so ahead you can't help it. But then there are moments you're like, oh, okay, I give my opponent one bit of leg room to work with, and they can run with the whole game away.